When you think about the calling on your life, the thing that God has placed inside of you, the thing that keeps resurfacing no matter how many times you try to push it down. When you think about moving towards it, what is it that's actually driving you? Is it hunger? A deep, genuine, God placed desire to know more, to do more, to become more? Not for the applause, not for the title, but because something inside of you simply will not be quiet? Or is it pride? The need to be seen, the need to arrive, the need to finally have something to show for all the years that you've been waiting. See, here is something that I've learned that you can have both at the same time, in the same heart, and God in his faithfulness will not let you keep moving without getting honest about which one of these is in the driver's seat. And that's what I want to talk to you today about. Hi, and welcome to the Purpose and Calling Show. I'm your host, Teresa V. Smithen-Quintana, and if you are new here, I am so glad that you have found your way here. I really am. See, this is a space created specifically for purpose-driven women who are in the middle of the journey, not at the beginning, not at the destination, but in the middle, where it is messy and sacred and hard and holy all at the same time. So if you've been here before, welcome back. You already know what we do here. We are not about the surface level. We try to go deep because that is where the real transformation happens inside of you. So today's teaching is one that I have lived. It's not theory, and it's not something that that I've read in a book, okay? It came out of a moment where God sat me down and he showed me something about myself that I was not ready to see, but I absolutely needed it at the time before I can go further. And so if you're a woman who is serious about your calling, I believe this one is going to meet you exactly right where you are. So let me tell you what happened. So about a year or so ago, I made the decision to go back to school and to pursue my theology degree. And on the surface, that sounds like a completely God-led decision, doesn't it? It was. But, a woman in ministry, going deeper into the study of the word, what could be wrong with that, right? Absolutely nothing. Nothing is wrong with that. Except when I got honest with myself, that wasn't the whole story. I had 2 degrees already, and somewhere in the back of my mind, in a place I wasn't fully looking at, I was calculating. I was already thinking about how long it would take. I was already imagining what it would feel like, already rehearsing what it would sound like to have a DR in front of my name. Doctor. But see, God had to check me, not harshly, but clearly. He checked me on it. And he has a way of doing that. He doesn't embarrass you. He doesn't expose you to the crowd. He just gets quiet in a very specific way, and you know that he's waiting for you to look at something you've been avoiding. And what he showed me was this, that pride had slipped into the passenger seat of what I thought was a God-led decision. And the reason it was so easy to miss is because it was wrapped in something that was legitimate. It was wrapped in real hunger. It was, I generally do have a desire to know more about God. I generally do have questions that I refuse to let go unanswered. That part was real. But underneath that real thing, pride had made itself at home. And so I want you to understand this, that pride and hunger can live in the same heart, and they can be attached to the same assignment. That's what makes this so difficult to identify, because the desire itself can be pure, but the motivation underneath it can be divided. And that is what I want you to understand. See, hunger says, I want to know more about God because God is worth knowing. But pride says, I want to be known as someone who knows a lot about God. Hunger says, I want to walk fully in my calling because the people I'm called to need what God has put inside of me. But then pride says, I want to walk fully in my calling so that people can finally see what God has put in me. And that's me being honest with you, okay? Do you see the difference? See, one is rooted in God and one in others. The other is rooted in self and both can be wearing the same outfit at the same time. And so I went back even further, right? And so several years before that, I enrolled in a theology program. It was non-accredited at the time, and I loved every single minute of it, you know. But at my current graduation, my professor stopped and asked the question. He said, "What are you going to do with what you've learned?" And my husband, as we were driving home, he asked the exact same thing. What are you going to do, Teresa, with what you've learned? And I've been sitting with that question ever since, because the question isn't about knowledge, it's about motive. It's about, who is this really for? And so in Jeremiah 17:9, it says, the word says that the heart is deceitful above all things. And that's a hard scripture for me, because I had to check myself. I was like, God, what's in my heart? Like, I did this for you, right? But God was saying, you cannot always trust your own reading of your heart, okay? You need me to search your heart. And Psalms 139:23 says, to search me, God, and to know my heart, to test me and to know my anxious thoughts, and to see if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way that's everlasting. That is the prayer of a woman who is serious, not just about her calling, but about who she is becoming in the process of walking it out. Here's the truth that I had to hold on to, that the calling on my life, your life, is not primarily about you. I know this, but I want you to really sit with it, because knowing something and living from it are two entirely different things. And for nearly 2 decades into me saying yes to the call and the assignment that God placed on my life, everything that I have walked through, everything I have studied, every season of waiting and stretching and being undone and rebuilt, none of it was only for me. It was building something, not just for me, but for someone else. And I've come to realize that I am a blueprint, and so are you. The women, the people you are called to serve are real, and they are not hypothetical. They are somewhere right now waiting, and they don't need a perfect, polished doctor in front of the name version of you. They need the version of you who was willing to let God search her heart and clean out what didn't belong there, so that when you show up, when I show up for them, we show up whole. I always say sometimes understanding the process changes the way we walk through it. And I believe it 100%. When I understood that God wasn't checking my pride to shame me, he was checking it to protect me and to protect the assignment, everything shifted. My mind shifted. How I thought shifted. It stopped feeling like correction and started feeling like preparation. And it isn't saying that, I deserve this, okay? He was saying that I need you to carry this and carry it clean. So my sister, let me ask you, I want you to actually ask yourself this, not just nod through it. Okay, what is driving you right now? When you think about the next step in your calling, the next yes that you are considering, the next level that you are reaching for, is it hunger or is it pride? Or is it both? See, you don't have to have a clean answer right now, but you do have to be willing to ask the question. And then you have to be willing to let God answer it. So one practical thing I want to leave you with before your next move, whether it's a big decision or a small step, take it to prayer with this specific question. God, what is driving this? Not is this a good idea? Not is this part of my calling, but what is driving this inside of me right now? And what do you want me to do before I move? That one question, asked honestly, will do more for your calling than any strategy, any plan, or any degree. What's inside of your heart? My sister, sometimes understanding the process changes the way we walk through it. When you know that God is not exposing you, he is preparing you, you stop running from the examination and you start welcoming it. And I'm telling you, that will change everything. So if you are sitting with this today and it brought something up, I want you to know that it's a good sign. Think of it as a good sign. It's a tender heart that is not weak. It's not a weak heart, okay? It's a heart that is still movable. It's a heart that's still willing to receive correction and understanding from God. And listen, God can work with that. You are not off track. The fact that you are willing to ask the hard questions about yourself and what's really driving you, that's not a sign of failure. That's a sign of maturity. And that's a mark of a woman who is serious about her assignment. My sister, you are in the process, and that is not a problem. That is the point. So I want you to keep going. Keep asking. Keep letting God search you, because the woman you are becoming on the other side of this examination, she is exactly who the woman you are called to serve have been waiting for. So if this teaching has resonated with you, I want you to make sure that you subscribe. If you want to go deeper outside of YouTube, there's two things, okay? One, it's the Purpose and Calling app that I have created. It's available on the Apple and Google Play Store, and you can take this teaching with you wherever you go, and many more, okay? And if you are looking for a space to connect with other purpose-driven women who are serious about the assignment that God has placed in their heart, the Lilies Among Thorns Society on the School platform is where we do that work together. And the link for everything will be in the description, okay? And before you go, I want to make sure that you know about something that I've created specifically for women who are in this exact space. If today's teaching has stirred something within you, and if you have found yourself sitting with that question, okay, maybe you want to go deeper. What is really driving me? And you realize that you don't have a clear answer as of yet, that's not a problem. That's actually a starting point. The Purpose Journey Assessment was designed and created to help you get honest about where you are right now in your calling, not where you think that you should be, not where you were 5 years ago, but where you are right now. And it will help you identify what season you're in, what may be holding you back, and what your next aligned step actually looks like. Because here's what I know. You cannot move clearly from a place of confusion, and you cannot build on a foundation you haven't examined. That's what the assessment does. It gives you a clear picture so that when you take your next step, you're taking it with intention and not just momentum, okay? Now, the link is in the description, and it will take you less time than you think, and it will give you more clarity than you expect. So go, take it. I want you to know that you're ready. And my sister, I will see you in the next episode. Take care and be blessed.